Hi folks, in this short video I'm going to show you how to set up addressing in Finale to work with Mongoose using the generic Finale output format, which could then be imported into the Mongoose Editor. So first I'll start with a blank show. It comes up by default positions 1 through 8 or 9. And I'm going to put 4-inch shells into position 4, and I'm going to put a lot of those in there, and then put some 5-inch shells in position 5 and 6-inch shells into position 6, just to create something with a number of effects out there. So I'll start the timeline and then just start throwing a whole bunch of 4-inch shells in. You can see I'm up to about 20 now. I'm going to take it past a module into a second module, so I'm going to put about 50 or 60 shells in there. Okay, so now I'm going to stop it and go back to the beginning and switch to some 5-inch shells and switch to position 5 and overlay some 5-inch shells in there. And again, the positions has nothing to do with the actual shell diameter. I just kind of do that to make it easier for myself. So I put a few of those in there, and then I'm going to go back and just take a few 6-inch shells and put them into position 6 and go all the way back to the beginning here, start, and I'll just do a few of those. So at that point, I've now got a bunch of shells. And if you look at the script itself, they haven't really been addressed at this point. I could expand this. And they're in there on a timeline, but they're not on a rail or pin. So one of the things you could do next is set up the addressing template for Mongoose. And with this, we go under addressing. And the first thing we're going to do is go under address settings and set the default firing system and module type. That'll come up with this window. We want to leave the firing system to be CSV, since we're going to be outputting the generic format, and set the module or slat type to custom module. There's some other presets here, but we always want to make it custom. And then also under addressing, we want to set the custom module specification. And for Mongoose, you want to choose the firing system as CSV. There's other ones in there. And the rail address template for Mongoose is pound 255, which means they go from 1 to 255 logical units on the modules, dash pound 48, which every module goes from 1 to 48. And the time unit, just leave that as the firing system default and hit enter. And so now if I go through and do the addressing, it will come up and say, well, which firing system am I using? CSV. You want to make sure that's set, and then what module or slat type, custom module. And generally you set 1 eMatch per pin. If you know Finale better, you know how you can adjust that if you want to fire multiples in series off of 1 queue and things like that. Right now I'm just going to go order of assignment, how are the addresses sorted, and I'll leave it at position and event time, which is the default, and each module is restricted to a specific position, which says that they'll only be assigned to mortars in that vicinity. Now when I assign it, it pops up a little assignment window, and then it tells you the summary of addressing. Says we have 4 modules, which makes sense, total pins used, etc. And then now you'll see that we have rail and pin assignments here, which translate to Mongoose module numbers and pin. If I sort by rail, you'll see that I put about 50-some shells in there. It takes module 1 and assigns them 1 through 48, and then starts with module 2 through the remaining 4-inch shells. Then it starts module 3 with 5-inch shells, and then finally module 4 with a couple of 6-inch shells that I put in there. And so at this point, So at this point, I'm going to export it into a separate CSV. So I'm going to export, and do it as a Finale generic CSV. I'm going to put it to my desktop and then make it be donplay.csv. Generally, can make it ASCII with a control line feed as easiest, and it's going to say donplay.csv. And so now we have it out here. This is the generic Finale format. And then finally, we bring up the editor. I would say import a Finale CSV format. Go to the desktop. We have my donplay.csv. If it was a Pyro Musical, you would attach it, but in this case, it just brings it into the editor. And there you go. That's how you import Finale and address it within Finale. And as a quick view, you could click on this Units Used tabs, and it'll show you Unit 1 goes from 1 to 48. Unit 2, which are the remainder of the 4s, went through the first 6 positions of Unit 2. Here's the 5s, and here's the 6s. And if you hover over these, it'll tell you, what's in that position. So anyway, that's a good check. And then it's not for this video, but then you could save this and then import it into Mongoose Display Director for shooting the show. Okay, thanks a lot.